Hello, my name is Kiryat Castillo, and my partner's name is Marari Perez, and we're in the Uteach and Knowing and Learning class. So we have this project that we're working on, and we need your help in answering just a few little questions. Before we start, is it okay if we videotape this interview?
Yes.
Okay, good. So to give you a little background, these questions are about what you know about biological evolution. So answer to the best of your abilities, and don't worry if the questions are a little tough. We'll help you out. All right. So what do you think about when you hear the word evolve?
When I hear the word evolve, I think of an animal organism changing to fit where it is. So it develops new traits and new physical characteristics that allow it to be more successful in the area where it is.
Now, the word evolve, does it only apply to animals?
No, the word evolve can be used in a general sense, since you can also apply to machines, to how we've progressed through like since the industrial age, we've evolved to like what we can make now. So it can apply to a very broad.
Awesome. What if now we said evolution? What does that word bring to your mind?
Evolution, I would say, is the process of evolving. So evolution would be the time it takes for a creature or something to evolve.
Do you think that time in one's lifespan, do you think we can witness evolution?
We could, but it wouldn't be, to really take it all in, you would have to see it from 100 years later or 1,000 years later to really see the progress that we've made. Because it just evolution doesn't happen in a couple of years. Sometimes it takes decades.
Do you think any kind of evolution rewording the question. Do you think all evolution takes that much time, or is there some exceptions?
Sometimes there's exceptions to evolving. There can be outside variables that would increase it.
Okay. Do you remember evolution from high school?
Yes.
What do you remember learning?
Well, I remember learning like the first organisms, how they made, kind of like what we know today, like all the animals that we see, and how the animals would adapt to their new areas.
Awesome. So, can you elaborate on any of these topics anymore? Or?
Well, for like I said, the bacteria, the first organism that evolved into what we know today was the bacteria. So from there, it just it started like changing its form and adapting, and then it branched off. So the bacteria wasn't technically the first. It didn't evolve itself, but it branched off, and from there, those branches evolved into what we know today.
Cool. Okay. So, does the name Charles Darwin sound familiar to you?
Yes.
Can you describe what you think he did?
I think he contributed a lot to science. His work was a really big thing when he first, made it, I guess. So he made a huge contribution to science in general.
So, what contributions? What?
He gave evidence for evolution taking place. He stayed. He went to the Galapagos Islands, and he studied the animals there and how he eventually saw that the finches had different beaks for the area on the island that they were living in.
Awesome. So, why do you think it's important for schools to teach kids about Charles Darwin?
It's important for the same reason you would teach about Einstein or Edison or all those great sciences that we learn about. Because he contributed to what we know science is now. He made a large contribution. He should be taught in schools, because if he didn't give proof of that, we would not know what we know today about medicine or research that we have now for humans and stuff.
Great. So now I'm going to say a couple of words, and I want you to break them down and tell me what you think or remember about each of them. So the first word is natural selection.
Natural selection would have to be when the environment itself chooses what animals should live there and which ones should die off. So they would have to, the environment would make the animals adapt to the area.
All right. The second word is mutation.
Mutation is like an unexpected characteristic that develops in animals or organisms that would not be normally expected. It sort of comes out of nowhere.
Okay. Do you think you can give an example of mutation?
A bit fictional, but like the X-Men, they had a mutation that was not expected, but it gave them different abilities.
Cool. So the third word is survival of the fittest.
Survival of the fittest is, I think, much like natural selection, except that instead of the environment choosing how the animal should adapt, it's the animals that choose how they should adapt. So like the weak ones would eventually die off because the stronger animals would get more food, breed more, and stuff like that.
Cool. And the last word is genetic drift.
Genetic drift is, I think, is when an animal from an outside environment that was not there before comes in and spreads their genes and such, making new animals in that area.
Cool. Okay, so I'm going to show you a cladogram. Are you familiar with what a cladogram is?
Yes.
Cool. Okay. So if you can see here on this screen, we have a cladogram that I want you to fill out to the best of your abilities with this word bank below. The animals listed here, I can show you better pictures if you'd like. But fill this out to the best of your abilities. And as you fill it out, can you please explain why you're choosing why you're picking that one? There you go.
Well, to start, I know that the leopard.
Oh, I don't think it's on there. Give me 2 seconds. There we go. Okay. Draw here. Draw with touch. It should be. There we go.
Right. So first, I think the leopard. The leopard is the only one out of the animals below that have hair.
Okay.
So from there up, they would have hair. And I know that the amniotic egg, since the rest of the animals below the turtle and the leopard don't have that, so it would not apply to them, so it only apply to the ones above.
Awesome. What about the vertebral column? Try and place that one.
We'll go at the bottom.
Why?
Since all of these animals do have vertebral columns. Take the vertebral column out. And then the next one is jaws above the vertebral column, since tuna, salamander, turtle, or leopard have jaws, but I know the lamprey does not.
Awesome.
And the last one would be the 4 walking legs.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.